Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 13.8, and we've actually had quite a nice meta shakeup over the past couple of weeks and months as Riot have changed the jungle and now tinkered with a lot of different champions. They tried to nerf Jarvan, let's see if they actually succeeded, and clearly Riot hired someone on the balance team that loves Kha'Zix a little bit too much. So as always, we will go over the absolute best junglers for every single MMR, overall as well as for high and low, but as per usual, most people struggle to make the right itemization choices, compromising win rates of actually very strong champions. And so, to streamline the builds process and remove the guesswork, head to Mobalytics' completely revamped Builds 2.0 feature. Not only is it significantly faster and more accurate, it also calculates the data way quicker as we go from patch to patch. And with more unique options presented, it gives you 4 real build options for your champions. This includes off-meta varieties for those who want to really figure out a playstyle that suits them, and along with these better build calculations means that the items are not just thrown together by win rate data like other sites. They're actually full builds that people play and actually end and win games on. Along with new builds from other regions so you can actually discover what the Korean one-tricks are building. Should you build Void Staff? Should you build Death Cap? Frozen Heart, Randuin's? The better situational advice for most items will allow you to make better decisions. Also available in the app, of course, and will auto-import into your game should you want to have things streamlined for you. Click the link in the description below to itemize like a savant with Mobalytics. So they've decided to nerf the Kha'Zix W back in 13.7. The thing is, they also extended the ability for him to hit isolation on a target and buffed his ultimate by an extra 2 seconds activation time. And then this patch, they decided, hey, what's a 17% increase in base damage to the Q? You know, the thing you use to farm and fight and basically use it off cooldown? Yeah, that's a very strong buff to any champion in the game because it affects you from level 1 and at each level where you level up the ability. If they were to adjust bonus AD ratios, total AD ratios, that would mean you're scaling as the game goes on, but this is a strong early game buff, making your clear faster, your skirmish ability better, and when you shift that in conjunction with the other buffs that we received last patch, albeit a nerf to the slow and the W, well, Assassin Kha'Zix is once more becoming the king of the jungle, except in this case it's kind of ridiculous. I did cover an R-Evolve Kha'Zix on my gameplay channel, and a lot of people are going through that Q-Evolve, and of course people are saying, no, but Bruiser's still better. Bruiser was never better, my friends. Unless you were a Gurren or someone as such, it was not better statistically, it was not better in effective reality, because if you were just a good positioner, good itemization builder, and obviously very good at the Kha'Zix mechanics, you had no issue actually finding some sort of success in the last round of buffs. Now, however, this is a buff to all forms of Kha'Zix because base damage just has no bias. Now let's shift on over to Jarvan, and we will marvel at the fact I didn't make a Kha'Zix evolution joke until this very moment. Now what's funny is that they nerfed the base damage on Jarvan's Q by 10, whereas they buffed Kha'Zix's by 10. They also, however, affected the attack damage growth of Jarvan and reduced that by a little bit as well. The thing is, he has lockdown CC and a Giga Shield now, so what this means is Jarvan, while he was very, very strong, is now nerfed a little bit. He is still strong, right? You don't go from OP or Giga strong to being piss useless Volibear level, at least within the realm of normal buffs and nerfs. So now while his base level clear will be affected in the opposite way that Kha'Zix was positively affected, and his growth on the AD is also likewise not going to be as good, the King still is able to lock people down. The King is still able to kill squishies. The King was overkilling people anyway, and his CC and guaranteed damage profile with that shield now means that while you might still feel these nerfs in the first clear early skirmishes and a little bit in the scaling, you're basically still going to be like, wow, I killed that person a little bit slower. I needed an extra Q or auto. Anyway, and I feel like that's a really good segue to Udyr because we had a spam ganking meta with a lot of Jackshaw Demonics abuse. They nerfed all of those things, and the people were like, well, I guess we just don't play Udyr anymore. Yeah, but they put experience and gold back into the jungle camps. Udyr likes that. His play rate keeps going down, but his win rate stays huge. The champion is still amazing in the jungle. The champion still chases people down. The champion still has the shield. The champion still has the burn damage, the magic damage, the percentage damage, the physical damage, the shield, the disruption, the get in your face, the burn you down, the slow you. He still has everything that he had before. Just because they nerfed the movement speed a little bit on Phoenix and they nerfed the Demonics Embrace clear speed doesn't change anything. The guy still clears fast as hell, runs fast as hell, kills people fast as hell, and is still becoming a little bit unkillable as the game goes on. The one thing he isn't is harder than hell, but at the same time, who really cares when he's this damn effective at winning games from the jungle? Play Udyr again, my friends, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I hate facing it. Next, we have Evelynn, and she is definitely still the Empress of the jungle, and I don't care what you Bel'Veth mains say. This is the queen of purple and pink. Obviously, I'm biased in this regard, but at the same time, the champion just skirmishes, duels, assassinates scales, and has camouflage. I mean, what do you do against that unless you're playing something like Rek'Sai, which isn't really that great anymore, and Warwick, which again is really just a top laner. Fortunately, Rengar players are okay with this, But trust me, ADC mains or not, immobile mages or not, any squishy champions or not, and the fact of the matter is a lot of junglers are not, because you have to abuse her early. If you do not, she becomes a question mark. She gets back into the game very, very quickly, swooping side to side and picking off people one at a time, and then killing you in your jungle in your face when you had the lead. Obviously, that's on you to fix, but at the same time, she has a very straightforward build path, a nice alternate Conqueror rune set for the more beefy games, which is really effective. I showed this on my channel. You can't miss it. It's the one with her in the thumbnail. But really what we've got here is assassins, fighters, and someone who can really be an effective tank in the Udyr as well as a fighter. This is a very diverse top 4, and when I talk about this in my jungle courses, all linked below on Virkayu.gg of course, we really focus on jungling with each and every style in the most optimal way. What are the jungle principles that work for all of these champions in any meta? And that's the kind of stuff I like to talk about from silver to gold to platinum to diamond. Because if you can understand this in the meta, these top 4, how they work, you can understand how to play Nidalee. But can you have the mechanics for Nidalee? That's the big question. She also received buffs, and everyone in Master Plus took a deep sigh of pain and said, why? Just leave her alone. She's absolutely fine. And now they want to make him more accessible to the people, which I don't think is a good thing. The champion is absolutely and utterly oppressive when suited to the meta and when she has high enough stats. However, I'm still only recommending her for Diamond Plus. If you play Nidalee and you cannot currently get to at least Diamond or Master Plus, you are either not good at jungle or you're not good at Nidalee. You have to pick one. I'm sorry, that's the reality. If you think you're a Nidalee savant and your jungle sucks, well, hey, I can help you with that. But at the end of the day, just people don't have the mechanical prowess to make this champion work effectively. She is looking very, very strong in high elo, only behind Kha'Zix and win rate at the moment. We'll have to monitor that situation. But as a general population, I don't normally put Nidalee in this page unless she is truly strong, and it seems that she might be. Obviously, data will evolve and the meta will evolve, but for now, be aware of the cat. Next up, we have Hecarim, who at this particular stage seems to be kind of fine and balanced, and it's weird because he's really strong, but most people still don't build right, and then that gives enemy junglers the opportunity to shut him down and play against him appropriately. If you're playing Assassin and Squishy, you have to play Assassin and Squishy. You can't just run in 1v5. If you're playing super tanky, you're not going to be able to assassinate everybody one-shot pentakill when they group up and have a kumbaya party. But the rotational power, the farm speed, the objective take, the scaling, the snowball, although his new icon looks absolutely ridiculous, he looks like a caricature of himself, and he was already a caricature of himself in the first place, the horse is strong and the horse is capable. Much like Gragas, not only at drinking and throwing drinks at other patrons, but also at knocking people up, knocking them away, stunning them, slowing them, and juicing them with his overtly powerful kit. Win rate around 50%, still a very difficult champion. You need those animation cancels to be snappy, fluid, and understand every single one and when to use them. But at the same time, remember, you are not AFK farming. You are also likewise not AFK ganking, a nice fusion of both principles, as we talk about in all my materials from courses to YouTube channels. I've always spoken about having a nice balanced approach to jungling, and if you can do that and master his combos, you will have great success. And Echo, on the other hand, I'm putting up here because I think, listen, this champion is something that snowballs so damn well. If you can have the right measured aggression approach to the champion early game and sort of at least help a lane here, help a lane there, get an invade there, do some counter jungling, you know, you're just taking pieces a little bit. You're compounding your finances, and then you're going to realize you have more experience than gold than everyone else on the map, and that's when it's fun time. You can do your arcane cosplay with that nice bridge scene and take over the game. Next, we're on to the A tier page, and we have Fiddlesticks. Obviously, he was a little bit scared this week when Riot flirted with nerfing the jungle leash ranges again. Fortunately, it was just a bug. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. But in terms of farming, sequencing, ulting, and doing what he does, there is no one that sucks better than Fiddlesticks, and no one will ever suck better than Fiddlesticks at being an eternal one-trick meta presence that allows junglers to master the art of sequencing and teamfighting and just winning. If you play Fiddlesticks, you're most likely a winner. Likewise, Vi players are also still winners despite the nerfs, still has guaranteed lockdown, scaling, and people who just don't play around it appropriately. They also don't respect it. If you can interrupt her Q, do it. They also don't understand that that Q is like on a 3-second timer later in the game, so her mobility is insane. Try and disrupt her early, try and get ahead of her early, and you have no issue dealing with her. But if you let go of the controls, and she is able to move side to side and ult your crucial carries, then you're gonna lose control, she's gonna dominate team fights, and you'll be wondering what the hell happened. Next up we have Rengar. I love this pick. I think he's in such a great state. I covered this on my gameplay channel as well, talking about the fleet footwork Rengar tag. This wasn't some sort of niche thing. This was like 2, 3, 4% better than other rune sets on average. Really dominating in terms of, hey look, there's a movement speed, the sustain elongated bush jumps, way better positioning to get back in and out of bushes, and obviously when you combine that with the Gus Walker hatchling, when you combine that with the full precision tree as well as whatever secondary tree you would like to have, most likely domination, you're looking at a champion that doesn't need electrocute or first strike damage procs to kill people. He already overkills people, so why don't we boost him up just a little bit and give him a few other stats to take him over the edge. Rengar one tricks are definitely enjoying themselves at the moment. Likewise, Nocturne players are enjoying bringing the darkness to the map. Obviously, they're upset they didn't get the rework. He should have got the rework because they have no idea what to do with Skarner, I think. Although he is a pretty hidden OP champion, Nocturne isn't hidden OP at all. Well, he is for the ADC, but he's not for us. We know he's strong in the meta. We know he can duel. We know he can scale. We know he can farm. Play around your ultimate, know which champions you can lethal tempo invade and destroy, time your spell sheet appropriately, build correctly, and remember when it comes to late game team fights, if you cannot dive into the 5-man death ball, split, force rotation, cut in, and make the numbers advantage your advantage. Next up we have Bel'Veth, and I could have put Kindred here, but I feel like Kindred's always going to be there, here and there for one tricks, and Bel'Veth has good data at the moment. People don't play her aggressively enough, they try and mess around with builds too much, but if you keep things cracking, if you keep things Blade of the Ruined King, obviously you can go the Black Cleaver tech if you wanted to. Her level 1 through 3, her early invades, her early pressure, her takeover control, absolutely bonkers. And make sure you're getting that Herald for the fishies, and your macro will fall into place as well. An exquisite champion that is obviously misused, you've got to hit your W, and you've got to anticipate spells from the enemy so you can use your Qs appropriately. People kind of waste those spells, and then you're just a sitting duck. Next we have Kayn, who was nerfed for the Shadow Assassin Giga Step, but that's not really going to change anything until you get to like those quick rotational spells, and even then I've seen funny tweets about using Transcendence. And as many others have tweeted, oh no, I can only cross the map in 5 seconds now instead of 4 seconds. Anyway, he's still going to kill people, he's still going to overdamage people, and Rast is like, you nerfed Shadow Assassin? Why aren't you playing Rast in the first place? Lilia had a little bit of a shift here, giving her some more damage to monsters, shifting her healing and giving it way better scaling. And basically what we're looking at is a champion who is now fine. By fine, I mean she's pretty damn good. Win rate boosted up 1.5%, looking to be a solid pick for low and mid MMRs. Decent and high, although I don't necessarily think you would play her over a lot of the other champions on this list. But if you like AFK farming, and you can actually movement speed, space, and skirmish appropriately with her, she is going to be in a great spot. Much like Master Yi, who exists eternally, and as soon as you take away all the CC, Mobalytics, Embrace, and Jack Show champions, his win rate just goes straight back up. Matters with less CC and less inherent tankiness appeal mean Master Yi's win rate always will increase. Champion is fine, looking to be okay to play, not something that's super giga OP, but if you're Master Yi player, Cenarius rank 1 E West, you know that this thing definitely has the power. But if we go to the low elo page, I'm slapping Nocturne on the top because I honestly think if you can rinse repeat, play around ultimate, you're not going to have the death ball comp issues at 20 to 25. Ensure you are learning how to close, yes, make sure you're applying that pressure. Again, my silver course and iron bronze course, really, I focus on all this kind of stuff. I want as many people to get gold as possible, and that's why I designed those things that way, to kind of help you say, look, these team fights are 40 minutes, this is not your game, my friends. I know we always talk about it, but why don't we just fix the systemic issue? However, if you want to go Master Yi and have that issue, then, you know, do it. And despite the nerfs, Rammus is ready to counter all of those attack speed heathens, and obviously I'm going to put down the Mordekais and the Lilia as nice picks in this MMR range. Likewise, Warwick if you're a newer player or someone who just wants to have a bit more rotational power. Oh yeah, and Vi. Now for high elo, obviously Kha'Zix, Nidalee, Jarvan, and you're saying, well, wait, where is Graves? If you're putting Lee Sin down because of his low win rate and high pick rate, where is Graves? I'm putting Lee Sin down just because when I watch Zib and Brox play it, I'm like, whew, that's a champion that can do work. When I watch most people play Graves, I'm like, I kind of want to go to sleep, and also he has the same win rate, 47%. There are still issues where I have a 60-70 CS lead and you're only one level ahead of someone who's managed to get a lot of kills here and then. You can have more objectives as well. So we haven't quite moved the jungle back to the really nice season 12 balance meta that we have. I do think we need to do a little bit more shifting there, but obviously with MSI, they don't want to tinker too much. However, we also don't want to swing it back to the Hekra meta where it's basically, hey, this is the only thing you can do. And again, Gragas is amazing, Bel'Veth is amazing, yes, you can use Kindred, Rengar is amazing. High elo always has these great picks you can use. It's very difficult to quantify which are the best 8. So basically use win rates plus play rates and ban rates to come up with this list, as you can see here. Plus from my scouting, I scout a hell of a lot every single day. I can tell you I see a lot of Graves, but I'm very rarely going, that thing should be on this list ahead of all of these other champions. A lot more carry potential and effective style points can be used over here. Yes, I'm aware the Hecarim face is the old face, but that's because I just couldn't look at the new face anymore. I hope you feel the same way. They're your best junglers for 13.8, hopefully 13.9, but I'm sure we'll see some more shifts once MSI is over. Don't forget, infographic tier list is available via email this weekend on Virkayu.gg. Thanks to Mobalytics for once more sponsoring the Best Junglers series with a new itemization build sets. And if you want to understand the best commandments of jungling, such that you can use any champion on this list, click the video in the box in the top right.